Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to week 4 of the B3 Lockdown Club. I welcome our league coach, Eddie Burke. How are you, Eddie?
Really good, thanks, Blabbers. Yeah.
Good.
It's not nice to be out of the home classroom, really.
Well,
That's
it's
the bonus.
half term, so you've had a bit of a break this week.
Yeah, I needed it. I put a right shift in, I'll tell you.
Yeah, makes you realise how hard teachers work.
Don't they just?
A better week weather-wise, and we've had some great drills sent in.
Yeah, lots of videos appearing on the Facebook page. Clearly a lot of activity out there. And even when the weather was a bit, indifferent, people have done some stuff in the house as well. So, yeah, really, really good.
So we'll contact Graveny later and talk about those. The first special guest on this week's show is Freya Davis, one of the England women players. She's out there in New Zealand now, but before she went, I managed to grab a chat with her. Shall we have a look at that?
Brilliant.
So, hi, Freya, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. Fantastic news about the tour. When did you learn about that?
We knew it was an option for a while, but selection came out 2 weeks ago, I think. So it's all been a bit of a whirlwind trying to pack and do everything that New Zealand need us to do to be allowed in their country. But yeah, it's exciting. Were
you in the middle of training for it anyway when the selection came through?
Yeah, we were all up training. We had a bit of time off over Christmas, but we were up the first week in January training, hoping that there was going to be a tour at the end of it, but never quite knowing with the current climate what was going on.
Yeah, at Loughborough, presumably.
Yeah.
Did you have the tent outside or was it all indoor?
No, all indoor at the moment. The boys were using the tent when before they went, but we were just indoors. I think it's a bit easier logistically indoors. So. Yeah.
Okay, good. And been working on anything in particular? Any coaching points that you can share with us?
I've been doing a lot of technical stuff with my action.
Right.
My fast bowling is all about straight lines, and everything we work towards is about getting things to go in straight lines. But also batting wise, we've talked a lot about those of us that bat kind of 6 and 7 down, particularly in T20s, about what our role is, and specifically working on that end of innings. Don't have many balls to mess around with, so yeah, we've done a lot of power hitting stuff, which is good fun.
A big difference if you're 6, 7 down can contribute, can make a big difference in all forms of cricket, but particularly T20, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. It gives our top order a bit more reassurance as well if they back us. That allows everyone to play with a bit more freedom, and that actually, if we're 6 or 7 down, that's not an issue. So yeah, it's good fun.
Good. And talking of bats, did the new kit arrive in time?
Yes, made it here. I will unveil it. It looks very similar to my one that I love at the moment, which makes me very happy.
So did you tell the guys at the factory that you wanted one exactly the same?
Yes.
So yeah. So that's what we do.
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, haven't hit many balls in my living room with it yet. But we'll certainly be giving it a go once I'm out there. Pick up. Great.
Looks nice. Looks big. What, 2.8?
2.9.
2.9. Okay.
But with a slightly higher middle, so it gives it a nice pickup. It doesn't pick up like a 2.9. Okay,
great. Good that you've been working on your batting as well, and that looks like it's built for power hitting. So, yeah, good. You're fortunate in the pro or the elite bubble. You can carry on, but cricket stopped for the amateur player, the junior player. Have you seen the stuff we're doing with this lockdown club?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces on social media.
We're just trying to put together some basic drills and batting, bowling, fielding, some fitness stuff. So we put a real good team together. And funnily enough, I was talking to Steve Kirby, who's our pace bowling guy involved. And all he talks about is train lines and straight lines and targets. And so we're going to be putting some real good stuff out there. I suppose as a pro cricketer, I mean, you can underpin that. It is all about the basics and doing them well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it surprises people that we still do, I mean, very basic drills. I stand and bowl between cones that are just in a straight line. Like nothing changes really the higher up you get. We maybe focus on some more specific stuff, but yeah, fundamentally, if you do the basics well, it doesn't matter what level of cricketer you are, that's hugely important.
Yeah, okay. And talking about hopefully a summer full of cricket, obviously you got back out there last summer, as did some club cricket, but you'd made the 100 team, and disappointingly, obviously, that didn't go ahead. How's that looking for this year?
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed we'll get some more cricket in this year. I have signed with a 100 team. I don't think it's been announced yet.
Okay, so not the same one necessarily.
Well, I think you'll find out in about a week or so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really exciting that can go ahead. Obviously, it was a massive shame last year, but we wanted to do it properly. Like, it would have been a shame to have opened that behind closed doors. So fingers crossed this year we can do it in style, and yeah, it'll be a really exciting.
Oh, watch this space. So when that's announced, perhaps we could do another one of these from New Zealand, and you can update me and our audience on how the tour's going and what life's like over in New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
I mean, it wouldn't speak to me too much in the first 14 days because I won't be able to tell you much of any excitement.
Oh, is it a lockdown for 2 weeks when you get there?
Yeah, we have, to be fair, the New Zealand government would be amazing. We've got a couple of exemptions. So from potentially within the second week, we might be allowed to do a bit of cricket training in very small bubbles, in very controlled environments. But yeah, it's fundamentally 2 weeks in a hotel room.
Okay. I can tell you're very busy. You've got lots to do. You fly when? Sunday?
Sunday evening, yeah.
You have a great time.
Thanks.
And stay in touch, and good luck with the tour and the cricket, and stay safe.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye.
See ya.
Great to speak with Freya. What an opportunity, and the women's game really is moving on, isn't it?
Yeah, huge, and it's professionalised now as well. So and so it should be. Took a while coming, but women's game playing professional cricket, and lots and lots of role models will start to emerge now for the youngsters to see. And what we need now is if anything, a bit more, a few more women coaches coming forward, really, and that would be even that area there. If that could grow even more alongside and match the playing growth as well, it would be fantastic.
There's some great opportunities for clubs, isn't there, and coaches. I mean, my club, we're developing a women and girls section, and we've got a young female coach who's really sort of leading that, and it's a real area that clubs need to focus on, because it just brings inclusion and makes the cricket club even more of a hub than it already is.
Yeah, totally. It is a game for all, isn't it? And it doesn't matter what gender, ability. Cricket really is a game for all, and so it should be. So, if people out there, women, girls, want to get into the game, then I suppose contact your club chairman, and if they're not sure, then they contact your local cricket boards, etc., and look to get involved. Just a fantastic game for all to be involved in, isn't it?
Earlier this week, Eddie, I also spoke to somebody you've worked with in the past, David Graveny, OBE, who is a legend of the game, player, moving into the administration of the game, head of England selectors, CEO of the PCA. Really interesting guy, and I know you know that. But let's have a listen to what he had to say. I'm joined by David Graveny. Thank you very much for joining us, David. An illustrious life in cricket, a 22-year pro career, and then went on to become the chairman of selectors, national performance manager, and also CEO of the Professional Cricket Association. I mean, you've never been far away from cricket, but what was your earliest memory, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, there's no reason why you should know the family history, but basically my father, and probably you would know my uncle, Tom Graveny. I can remember being taken to Cheltenham. The Cheltenham Festival has always been in place for Gloucester play 3 games. And as it happened, my father played for Gloucester, departed from Gloucester in pretty acrimonious circumstances. This is when actually you moved counties and you were banned for a year. Tom was then captain of Gloucester and also playing for England, so that all came to a halt. So it was quite a controversial thing. And then a typical sporting organisation, it's not limited to cricket, they decided to bring back my father out of retirement, because he's retired sort of in 1950, to heal the wounds of his brother's departure from Gloucester, which is quite an extraordinary sort of course of events. So I can remember going to watch Gloucester play Worcester at Cheltenham, which seemed a logical fixture because they're side by side.
Yeah.
And actually, Worcester in the process of winning the championship, if you look at the records. So I can remember that. Forget a bucket and spade holiday. It was 2 weeks watching people play cricket. And you went out at lunchtime and tea times, little boys, with your bat and tennis ball, and played on the outfield.
Last week, we did some out of play spin bowling within the lockdown club, and Paul Johnson, who's an old friend of mine and a well-known Nottinghamshire former player, has been helping us with that. And he mentioned that he played quite a bit against you. Your career's crossed over.
No. Jono terrorised every county spinner in the whole country. He possibly was the best player of spin not to play Test match cricket.
Really?
Yeah, he was, and I'm happy to admit that when I was promoted to captain, gave me the opportunity not to actually have to bowl at him. So, he could make you look like a complete idiot. And people talk about, reverse sweeping and the range of shots that you can play. And he was extraordinary. I have to say, I've been really, really lucky in my life to be able to stay in a game of cricket, make some wonderful friends, and friends who have been opponents in playing such, like John O would be a perfect case. And then when that sort of friendship circle provided by your job is removed, it actually becomes quite a lonely experience, because it's who do you ring up to speak to? So we've started an initiative, speak to a teammate. In other words, guys that you've played with, you haven't heard from for months, whatever. Just go on the phone, see how they are. They might be okay, but the impact of having a 5-minute phone call is enormous. If people feel really lonely, worried, just need somebody to speak to.
And that's not just professional cricket. I mean, we advocate that through the recreational game as well.
No, that's across the board. It's not just for pros. I think it's just. I think some of the messages that have come through this have been a real effort to be a better person.
The lockdown club was initiated because myself and Eddie and some of the coaches, we were genuinely worried about what younger players and club players were going to do with the absence of the normal winter training. Normally after Christmas, you're getting in the nets and you're starting to see your teammates and get your skills ready for April, May. So we wanted to try and use the facilities and the connections we got coaching wise to put something together. And I know that you were very much an instigator of the recent experimentation with short pitches for younger players. So you're a visionary in terms of young players coming into the game and developing the skills. Talk me through your involvement in that, David, if you don't mind.
Well, first off, nice of you to call me a visionary, but actually, if you went through every county, some have done it and some haven't, because I think coaches really realise the obvious difficulty. And I think at a certain age group, you're wanting young people to be able to experience a sport and say to their parents, I'd like to do that again, because I enjoyed it. And I was getting the feeling that our sport was too regimented and not flexible enough to to still maintain that enjoyment level. And I would have to say right at the outset, as the playing of cricket in the state system, either primary school or secondary, has fallen off, local clubs have done an extraordinary job.
Absolutely, and one thing I notice as a passionate cricket player, parent, and club coach, that there's a fantastic coaching community out there. I'm doing the old level 3, the advanced coaching at the moment, and there's some real passion out there. One of the things I really struggle with as a coach, and I think other coaches struggle with, is that we live in a country that's cold, dark and damp for 8 months of the year, and there aren't enough facilities to actually coach in, and that's a challenge I think we need to try and overcome.
That is a part of the challenge, but I'd also say I think that we also need to be a little bit more visionary in terms of using facilities that might be used for other sports.
Okay, yeah.
For instance, one of the other crusades that I've tried to do, and I managed to get the RFU probably off record to admit that actually injury counts in September when schools go back is very high in terms of broken wrists, collarbones and whatever. So what I was trying to do was to open up the space of playing cricket in September, because I think that would be a really good time for people to play. Invariably, I can remember taking my kids to school in September. Suddenly the weather becomes absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we always get the Indian summer.
Yeah, it is. Well, I know the weather's changing all over the place, but August itself is actually the second wettest month of the year. So it's just having a bit more flexibility about what we do. Okay. One thing's for sure, actually, and it's more in the older age group, is that the pressure of exams, and I don't know what we're going to be doing this year, but in a normal year, it's hard. You know, you can play cricket for the rest of your life. You only got one chance for these exams. So it's understandable parents want them to prepare for that, or it's a priority. Yeah. So let's get on the thinking hats on and try and explore different times to play. Too often we say, no, we can't do anything without actually exploring, actually we can. So I was really pleased with the positive reaction of short pitches.
What we're trying to do in the lockdown club, we're trying to give people things they can do at home safely, but to get the body moving, try and, you know, the whole idea is that if they do something, that when we can start to use indoor facilities again, or better still get outside and start playing again, that their body's got some of those movement patterns going already.
We have to understand what I could do when I was 5, 6, 7, play on the street. We live in a different environment, and parents would not necessarily be that keen on that sort of scenario. So we are somewhat restricted, and even playing in the cul-de-sac, you know, everybody's got 2 cars. There's just more cars on the road. So that has some restrictions. So I think what I've seen on the lockdown club is some really innovative things to do. And the one thing, and I know it's really, really dull, but fielding is a really key thing. And I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the under-19s, which I think it's your nephew's been involved in.
Well, you gave my nephew Jack his England cap when he played for England under-19s about 3 years ago.
I used to practice in our back lawn, which wasn't deep that much. So I practiced with a tennis ball between 2 separate sets of windows, the dining room and the kitchen. And the gap between the two of them wasn't that big, actually. So I did start with a hard ball, but it went to a soft ball after I put it through the window. But I just went for hour and hour and hour, just bowling at that. The sweep is a devastating shot to play against spin bowlers.
Yes.
And normally gets them pulling their hair out and doing whatever. But he will say that actually, you know, you don't stand there and think, oh, I think I'll play a sweep, and not having played it for about 2 months. You've got to be able to do that all the time. So one of the drills, and this is at the highest level, so this might not be relevant, but Duncan Fletcher, who was an England coach when I was chairman selected, and a really, really good coach, is convinced that you should never, ever get stumped, because he thinks you could sweep every single ball.
Right.
And either off a length, half volley, on the full. There's a type of sweep you can play to every single delivery. So he used to practice with Callis, Trescothic, underarm in front of them with a tennis ball, saying, right, I want you to sweep. Show me your range of shots that doesn't include a block. So you then get used to working out which is the length that you can play a conventional one, the line that you need to play a slog sweep, because it's normally taken from outside the off stump. What is the length and the line that you have a reverse sweep, a fine sweep? You know, they're all different types of shots, but having been on the receiving end of the repertoire for many years from Paul Johnson, then it really does get to the bowler. You break him mentally. And the mental thing to do with slow bowlers is quite interesting. They don't have the escape of being able to bowl bouncers and shout at the batsman. So it becomes a bit more like a game of poker. So you've got to control your emotions at the same time as somebody is actually making you look like an idiot.
Yeah, no, some good advice for both batsmen and bowlers there, David.
Yeah, but I think the drills that you're showing, I think will be, and fortunately, Michael, unless the weather goes particularly, we are sort of, spring will be upon us earlier than we think. The point that I'm making is it's not all necessary about batting and bowling. There are other things that actually could make a difference at this time of year.
Yeah. Okay. And what we both want, and all the coaches and parents listening, we just want kids to enjoy and fall in love with cricket like we have, don't we?
We want them to get them out in the fresh air. You know, fresh air from a medical point of view, well-being point of view. It's great that the current series is available to all, so that they can watch it. So all that does inspire, or should inspire people. You know, where's my bat? And let's go and hit some balls.
Been great to talk to you. Thank you for sharing some of your insights into the game and talking with us. We'd like to come back to you. I know some of our coaches, some of our older members of the Lockdown Club would love to fire a few questions at you about your illustrious career and the cricket situations you've been involved with, if you'd be able to do that.
I'm very happy to join in as and when you and Eddie would like me to do it again.
Thank you. I know he was a bit embarrassed when I called him a visionary, but he really is, isn't he, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, Grav's always looking towards the future of the game, really, whether it be with short pitches. And when we talk about shorter pitches, what we're talking about is as youngsters grow, they grow with the pitch grows with them.
Yeah.
You know, on the ECB site, there's some good footage really of how inappropriate it would be if we asked youngsters to play with a bat this big, or on a pitch that was so big it's just not appropriate for their physical maturation. You know, at this moment in time. But what Grav does brilliantly is he looks to the future. You know, he looks. Not only did he look into these shorter pitches in the study there, but also looking to move the game later in the year as well. So taking the game later into September to try and elongate the season, really.
Yeah, and I really like the stuff he covered on mental health. You know, even at our club, you know, just trying to keep people together, checking up on you. I know it's very fashionable at the minute to say check up on a mate, but you know, it works and it's necessary, and I'm sure everybody's doing that anyway.
I hope so. Ultimately, with just catching up and touching base with people, we can just see how, you know, our teammates are as well, really.
Yeah.
But you never know what people need until you pick up the phone, really. Just 2 minutes of your time just to say hi, how you doing? And I think that's been an outstanding way for people to keep connected.
Let's go over and talk to Brownie now, and let's review this week's videos.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the sweep shot because Grav touched on that, and we'll see what he makes of the gushing praise that he also gave to Jono.
Fantastic.
Andy Brown, how are you?
Not too bad, Michael. Not too bad. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, and you. The week's flying, don't they?
Oh, yes. Can't wait for Monday and Boris to see what he's got to say.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be able to start doing your day job again.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it, to think so? And, you know, to get everybody out there and start doing a bit more cricket, which would be great. But also, no reason why, you know, this can't carry on. And these are the staple things that people should be doing, the stuff we're doing now with the lockdown club.
The talk with Grav was interesting. You obviously know him from your playing and your coaching career.
Yes, I mean, Grav, for me, you know, wonderful bloke, and with the Professional Cricketers Association, I had a foot problem in 2011-12, which without the PCA support, I wouldn't be coaching now. There's no two ways about that. I wouldn't be able to walk. And he was him and Jason Ratcliffe were two of the guys that pushed for me to get some funding from the Benevolent Fund to get that sorted. And I'll be eternally grateful for that. Brilliant.
Yeah, smashing. Some great videos this week, Eddie.
Yes, yeah, lots of varied content. Really looking forward to having a look at a few. A real mixture of people working indoors and outdoors as well. Different ages, younger ages, I think we need to say at the moment, but we'll get onto that maybe a bit later.
Yes.
So yeah, really looking forward to going through a few of those.
Okay, well let's without further ado go over to have a look at a couple. So first up then, guys, we've got Rajan Talatu and his son Krish, a very nicely polished timber floor, doing some wicket keeping. Eddie, what do you think to this?
Well, just keep watching this. 6 years old, this little fella, and look at those hands. So hand-eye coordination is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. Dad's put the stump in at his end as well. Look, sorted that out, and a big celebration here because he's got him.
Fantastic.
It's also there as well, just using it for a bit of batting. So I think the whole principle of what we're trying to get across is you can do quite a bit of training or some cricket skills to whatever degree in a really small space, can't you? Inside and outside.
Yeah. What do you think to that follow through, Brownie? Is he encroaching on the pitch?
Yeah, I think he'll get away with that. Obviously, he's looking to scuff it up a little bit, but you know, he's doing a bit of fielding off his own bowling. And the over 8 will certainly be very good, since he's charging back to his mark. So absolutely fantastic.
Dad's putting a right shift in there, isn't he?
Oh, tell you what, I don't think it'll be bad light, because he'll just turn the old lights up a little bit if it does go down.
Oh, it looks great fun. Great fun.
Looks great, and technically looks like he's got some potential for 6.
It's unbelievable, isn't he? Look at that. The
ball's doing the basic things right. Doing the basic things right.
You're not getting past that defence, are you?
No, not on that surface.
Look at that. Lovely.
So next up, Jeff Watts has posted some video of his son doing the sweep drills that we talked about last week.
Yeah, great to see. I mean, as we said last week, you know, the racket face, you know, from doing a different drill, incorporating a different bat, if you like, with the tennis racket, just teaches the movement first, and then incorporate it with the cricket bat second, doing the same things. And you notice so much more with the racket head, because it's so much bigger. You can see the angle it's at and the way you're striking the ball, you know. So, you know, using both the cricket bat and the tennis racket, you know, gives him a lot of information back.
He didn't look that interested with the tennis racket, but he's absolutely nailing these with the bat and falling over as well. Really good.
Yeah, commitment. I think the thing is as well, once I wouldn't worry too much about having a roll on the floor. You've seen people trying to get like Stokes and Root have been getting into different positions with the sweeps. And once the ball's gone, if you lose a little bit of balance at different stages, it doesn't matter as long as it's not every shot. The thing with this one for me, it's his 3 points of contact really. So he's gone into starting from his stance, and he's got 3 points of contact there with his front foot, his back knee and his back foot. So, you know, when we're looking to play the sweep, those 3 points of contact really will help with balance and to help execute the shot.
Yeah, great.
It's also all about flexibility as well, you know, reacting to obviously it's a premeditated shot. We're going to go more about that later on, but you know, he's adapting to the line, he's adapting to the length, and he's coming up with a shot to play to whatever ball is bowled, because it is a premeditated shot. So he's adapting, which is great. This is what you want to see. You only find out what you're capable of by doing it, and trial and error, really. So
somebody else doing the drills, the static drive drills, Brownie?
Yeah, really good. He's got a really sound base. You know, his hands following through the line of the ball. And one of the nice things I like here is not trying to overhit the ball. He's just getting the shot, you know, pretty much spot on. You know, he's holding his position as much as he can. You know, could he exaggerate his hands and hold it a fraction longer and just learn about, you know, is all his energy going through the ball rather than doing that and turning? Maybe so. You know,
yeah, I agree, Brownie. I think after the shot's been executed there, don't be afraid of, you know, don't bring your hands back too quickly. Exaggerate it. Pose for the camera a little bit. Keep the hands out and keep the weight over the front knee.
Exactly. Just
holding that position there. Perfect.
Hold that 2 seconds and then go.
Yeah. And great innovation with the tennis net as well.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, make life easy for yourself. That's what I say.
Superb. Brilliant.
I think you'll like this, Eddie. Progressing the drill using one of your favourite accessories.
Yes, I've got to be honest, it's not my favourite sport in the world, but to use a football is brilliant. I'm a big fan of it, as you know, and you pull my leg for it. But the contact point is it's a good height, so where's making contact on the ball, it offers a little bit of resistance. And I think just what we mentioned previously, Brownie, we can see the young man's back leg collapsing and weight coming away. I think if that exaggeration was into the ball and more weight was over the front knee, the outcome would probably be a little bit better. So
leaning back and not getting the head towards the ball and transferring the weight.
That's right. So at that point of contact there, I'd be looking for ideally for the head position to be further over towards the ball, really. Okay. And that'll allow a lot more power to go through the shot.
Yeah, that front shoulder and the head going towards it.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is where, as a coach, if you were there doing a one-to-one session, you know, you maybe question, because he's put the football there, he's expecting that little bit of resistance. So is he just sitting back to try and generate that? Because he knows it's going to be heavier, rather than rely on technique and keep those going through. Because you pick up a lot of information. If you hit that in the middle, you hardly feel it. If you don't quite get it in the middle and get it on the outside of the bat face will open. If you get it on the inside, it'll turn and close. So you'll get a lot of information from that. There's a lot of coaches now using weighted balls, which again, you've got to keep your wrists and all that blade going through stronger. And with the football, which is just nice, it's a nice weight to give you that feedback, you know, as to how you're hitting the ball without being too heavy.
Okay, next up we've got Jack 12 and his younger brother, I presume, Theo 7. Again in the front room.
This is great, isn't it? Because straight away we've gone from, even though this is indoors as well, we're on a different wicket, we've got a different surface, we're on the rug, but you know, it's the ball's on the deck. It's a good job as well because these boys hit it, don't they? These boys
gives it a whack. That guy
gives it a whack. So the fact that the ball's on the floor is a right good thing for mum and the house, I imagine. But look, again, the whole principle is they're doing some cricket skills in a short space, hopefully pretty safely and not knocking too much around, and making the right shapes, Brownie.
Well, the thing I love, mate, is the way the people are sort of really getting into it and putting a set of stumps up and really making it feel like cricket, you know. And visually, as a player, that's what you want. You want it to look right, you know. You look in the part, you know. You got a set of stumps up there, and then you've got every chance of then. I mean, because as a young player, you watch people and you emulated people, visualization, that sort of thing. And this is what these guys are doing, probably unbeknown to them, that all of a sudden they're being the Joe Roots, just hitting the ball down the ground, emulating what we just saw 20 minutes ago on Channel 4. And absolutely brilliant.
This is his younger brother, Theo.
Right. Well, Theo starts with a big smile on his face, doesn't he, for a start? So he's enjoying it. He's loving it. Okay.
You know, he's got a great stride, a good base to go from, you know, and maybe just probably 4 or 5 inches a bit out in front a bit early. If you let that ball come, that ball will go down into the ground and be really in control of it. But a fantastic base he's got.
Yeah. One thing that Jono talks about is batting in a bubble. Okay. And if you go too far out the bubble with the hands, you know, it's going to burst. So let the ball into the bubble, let it get closer, let it get close to your centre of mass and your power. And that way you can not only hit the ball with more power, but with a bit more accuracy and direction as well.
Yeah, you're in control.
You wouldn't want to be a goldfish in that room, would you?
No, you wouldn't. Fantastic, isn't it? Love it.
Next up, we've got Josh Parsons, and I think he's actually from you used to manage Clifton Village Cricket Club in the Notts Premier League, Brownie. I think that's his club.
Is it? Oh, great. Good stuff. Oh, nice to see. Yeah, I mean, we talked about, we did the bowling drills outside and the first week of the show. We just look at where that front left leg goes across, and just, we talked about straight lines. You see where that leg goes, and then that just cuts him off access at those stumps there. He's having to come around his left leg with his back leg. Doesn't allow him to drive through at the target. There's a big rotational force through at the target. Ideally we'd like to see that left leg straight out in front, so then he can drive that right hip through and then follow through straight at the target. Which
is that what we refer to when we're talking about crossing over?
Yeah, shutting yourself off, crossing over. And great, the video that we had from Freya this week, which harped on about when she was up at Loughborough, all they're doing is working at the basics, straight line drills, and very similar to that first week. What we did, we talked about finishing off the action, going in a straight line at the target, and all these things are things that obviously Josh could probably just work on a little bit. Although his third video is the best one of the three, and he did get a little bit straighter on that one, so he's capable of doing it. But coaching isn't always about change, as we said before. It's about an awareness. Now he's aware that left leg goes across. He can then think about, right, let's get that left leg going straight out at the target, which means I can drive my right hip through and carry on and finish my action at the target.
Yeah, a couple of things for coaches which might help as well is Curbs talks, and you'll hear many people regarding seam bowling talk about tram lines. So you could actually put something visually on the floor in a tram line style to keep the bowler going through, and you can make them as tight as you need to. The other thing as well is on the video you talk about his back leg kicking out, Brownie. I was told many years ago by my old gaffer Stuart Burrows at Trent Bridge, and a great bit of advice is imagine a door frame around a bowler, and if there are things going outside the door frame, and in this young man's instance it's his back leg that would not get through the door, as a coach you need to think, well, why is that? So you can work backwards and refine it to get that straight forward momentum. So tram lines on the floor, or up here, or with what we call intervention poles, but not everyone's got them. But you've got a pair of eyes, and you can imagine a door frame around the bowler. Just a little bit of help for coaches.
Yeah, and we're limited by some of the videos we can make because of the lockdown rules. But as Brownie mentioned earlier, hopefully there's going to be a gradual releasing of what we can do. And Curbs rang me today and said, can't wait to get outside or indoors with a couple of bowlers. He's got loads of material. So even after this show or the 6 weeks have finished, we'll keep releasing stuff to help players, help coaches, and help parents. So no,
these are common areas. It's not these are real common areas, especially with younger players whose physical attributes haven't grown. They've not quite fully matured into their bodies yet as well. So there's lots of things we can do to help in the future.
Yeah. Just going back to what you said there, Eddie, about Stuart Burrows and the door frame scenario. In my experience, a lot of coaches, or young coaches, inexperienced coaches, the first thing they pick up is the end product rather than that's happened for a reason.
Yeah.
So don't latch onto that. Step back and watch the whole process.
Yeah.
And that will give you an idea. That end bit happens because of something else down the chain.
Absolutely. And without wanting to sort of do paralysis by analysis, if you go right back to the start of this young man's video, he might even want to have a little look at his grip because it looked quite wide on the ball. So actually he might even get a little bit more help with getting his fingers a little bit closer together, like how Michael's showing us now. Okay.
Make it talk, mate. Make it talk. Right then, moving on. We've got to a stage now where we've given people a lot of material. And it's really now about what you can do safely at home until we can work in larger spaces or larger groups. We're just really reaffirming the quantity and the quality.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've always said that, haven't we? It's not about what's been coming out in the program so far and in the schemes of work that we've given is for people to repeat. These are real fundamental basic skills which need, at this time of year anyway, need some repetition.
We've put some more fielding drills in this week. The one-hand retrieve and throw, the two-hand, and a couple of different combinations. And I said in the sheet that went out, if you've not thrown a ball for a while, build it up gradually. You don't want to be throwing your arm out at this time of year because hopefully we'll be playing soon.
Yeah, that's right. And if we take ourselves back a couple of weeks in the program as well, the physical aspect of what we brought into the program as well needs to carry on. So all that supporting their own, players supporting their own body weight, especially top half as well with the holding exercises which we were shown, then it works hand in hand really, and that will help and complement throwing especially.
Brilliant.
You've got to build up the volume, particularly with the throwing and the bowling aspect of it. You can't just go from 0 to 100 miles an hour. You've got to build it up to get the body ready, prepared, and that's why these stages are all very important. So we get to the start of the season fit, not go from 0 to 100 and we injured second week in. What's the point? We then miss another 6 weeks. Take your time, do the basics, build it up gradually. We hit April, we're ready to go.
We can't comment on everybody's video on the show, but we will. Everybody who does the drills and sends us a video, we will give feedback to try and help you and keep you moving forward.
Yeah, we're more likely. Sorry, Michael. We're more likely as well to comment on people's videos that are linked to the sessions we sent out as well.
Yes.
So it's relevant to the scheme of work which was sent out for that week. If we've been doing front foot drives and you send us some videos of the pull shot, we're going to have a look at the ones that are doing the front foot drive because it needs to be succinct to the program. So just a flag to be aware of, really.
It'd be also nice, Brownie, to get some older club players sending the stuff in. Now, we've got a lot of them subscribed to the program, but they're either, one or two things. They're either shy or they're not doing it. I think it's probably a bit of both. What do you think?
Well, I think, behind closed doors, they probably are doing it. But the younger players are probably just more keen to send the videos in, videoed by the parents, where the older players are probably doing it, but not getting anybody to video it, which would be nice to see, because these guys are role models for all these young players. The young lad from Clifton Village, there'll be players in the first team at Clifton that will be doing these drills. Well, let's see him, because on a Saturday, you'll see him playing in his first team. Yeah. People from Otbrook, got a lot of youngsters from Otbrook doing it. Let's see some of the senior players from Otbrook going out and doing the videos, because these junior players are your teammates in 5 years' time. It's a very short turnaround time, and you could inspire them to get better, to work, to make your team better in 5 or 6 years' time. So you're a role model. It's so important that you guys are out there doing it as well.
Yeah, if we can get a few, team captains, best batter, best bowlers, doing this sort of stuff, forget the Mickey taking and the banter. All right, you'll get a bit. It doesn't matter, as Brownie said, be a role model. That's part of your job at the club. Inspire
the youngsters. You certainly do. I mean, obviously my involvement at Otbrook, you see there's a first team game on and there's a junior game on the back pitch, and these guys look over their heads, eyes big as as saucers, looking at, this is what it's all about in the men's game. This is where I want to be, and this is where I want to play. It's so important.
Yep.
The other thing to bear in mind is how we've talked about the other week when we looked at Jimmy Anderson, Joe Root, Stuart Broad mentioned it as well. When players right at the elite level, they're still trying to improve. They're still trying to get better. We're not just talking about pre-season maintenance as well. It could be things that people can improve on as well. It could be someone getting, 800, 1,000 runs a year, or even 50 wickets. But you can still improve. People can look at variation in what they do. there's always things to be working on, and this time of year, especially during this lockdown situation, is perfect for it.
Yeah. Really appreciate your time, gentlemen. One thing I'm going to finish on is one of the things in the David Graveny interview, or chat rather, he talked about keeping an eye on your teammates, and that's relevant in normal times.
Yeah.
In these times, I know it's massively topical, but we just touch on that. You know, we really need to help each other, don't we?
Absolutely. Just look out for people. Give them a ring. Touch base. You know, you've got your teammates. Your teammates may not be as close as your usual group of friends, let's say, but they're still your mates. They're still, you know, you play in the same teams together. You know each other from your clubs, whatever it may be. Just touch base, because these are, you know, we've said it every week. We're trying to do something during a very different time and a very difficult time for a lot of people. It can take a very short amount of time just to ring someone up and ask them how to get in on.
Well, just to highlight that, in the last 8 days, I've had 2 phone calls from ex teammates and players that I coached at Derby. And it wasn't just a quick 10-minute conversation. You ended up having 40 minutes, 45 minutes just chatting and talking rubbish. But at the end of it, it was the best 45 minutes I've had all week, you know, because you go back to the banter in the changing room, the games you played, and it just lifts you mentally and gets you thinking about and being inspired about, let's get out and play cricket again.
Yeah, yeah. And not just players, everybody involved in your club, in your cricket circle. Somebody mentioned it to me the other week, you know, there's a couple of old boys who come and watch us week in, week out. And they won't have social media. They probably won't, you know, speak to a lot of people at all. They've been isolating for months. You know, give them a buzz, have a chat about the test match that's on Channel 4 again this weekend, and make club cricket a winner for when it all starts up. Listen, fellas, thanks very much. Appreciate your time, as I'm sure the audience do. Have a great week, and we'll talk next week.
Can't wait, brothers.
I bet you can't. Cheers.
Cheers.
Brownie's as enthusiastic as ever. He's got dressed up this week as well, I noticed.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? In his on his desert island with his palm tree in the background. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, look good. Listen, everybody, been a great week. Hope you've enjoyed it. Some really interesting stuff. Keep working hard. Keep sending your videos in. What are we going to do to persuade those older players to get the videos in?
Well, I think that the message was, you know, they're role models to the future, aren't they?
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's relevant. It's relevant because, you know, hopefully there's some more announcements coming out soon about when recreational sport can get back up and running. So ultimately, it's within their best interest, really, isn't it? To get their skills back up and running, and for their physical well-being as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some more senior players sending their footage in to the Facebook page, and we'll go from there. Get your drills in. Don't be shy. Send them in, especially if you're over that sort of 25 years of age mark. Love to have a few senior players in. Don't forget to do the questionnaire. Still a few haven't filled that in. There's a chance to win some great prizes, and it's going to give us the information to be able to feed back more specific coaching plans and drills as you go into the season. Yeah, definitely. All that information will help us tailor things specifically for people, and it will help us build the relevant content. So yeah, get those questionnaires in. Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night, Eddie. Thanks for your time as ever. No problem at all. And I'll see you next week. Yeah, thank you. Cheers all. Bye-bye.